سورة المباركة الفاتحة.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. عن جابر بن عبد الله الأنصاري أنه قال عن فاطمة الزهراء عليه السلام بنت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله قال سمعت فاطمة أنها قالت دخل علي برسول الله في بعض الأيام فقال السلام عليك يا فاطمة فقلت عليك السلام. قال إني أجد في بدني ضعفا فقلت لأعوذك بالله يا أبتاه من الضعف. فقال يا فاطمة ائتيني بالكساء اليماني فغطيني به. فأتيت بالكساء اليماني فغطيته به وسرت أنظر إليه وإذا وجهه يتلألأ كأنه البدر في ليلة تمامه وكماله. فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي الحسن عليه السلام قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أماه. فقلت عليك السلام يا قرة عيني وثمرة فؤادي. فقال يا أماه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها راية جدي رسول الله. فقلت نعم إن جدك تحت الكساء. فأقبل الحسن نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جداه يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أدخل معك تحت الكساء. فقال عليك السلام يا ولدي ويا صاحب حوضي قد عظمت لك. فدخل معه تحت الكساء. فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولدي الحسين عليه السلام قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أماه. فقلت عليك السلام يا ولدي ويا قرة عيني والثمرة فؤادي. فقال لي يا أماه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها راية جدي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله. فقلت نعم إن جدك وأخاك تحت الكساء. فدنا الحسين عليه السلام نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جدا والسلام عليك يا من اختاره الله أتأذن لي أن أكون معكما تحت الكساء. فقال عليك السلام يا ولدي ويا شافع أمتي قد عظمت لك. فدخل معهما تحت الكساء. فأقبل عند ذلك أبو الحسن علي بن أبي طالب وقال السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله. فقلت عليك السلام يا أبا الحسن ويا أمير المؤمنين. فقال يا فاطمة إني أشم عندك رائحتان طيبتان كأنها راية أخي وابن عم رسول الله. فقلت نعم ها هو مع ولديك تحت الكساء. فأقبل علي عليه السلام نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ قال له عليك السلام يا أخي ويا وصي وخليفتي والصاحب لوائي قد أذنت لك. فدخل علي عليه السلام تحت الكساء ثم أتيت نحو الكساء وقلت السلام عليك يا أبتاه يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء؟ قال عليك السلام يا بنتي ويا بضعتي قد أذنت لك. فدخلت تحت الكساء فلما اكتملنا جميعا تحت الكساء أخذ أبي رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله بطرف الكساء وعوما بيد اليمنى إلى السماء وقال اللهم إن هؤلاء أهل بيتي وخاصتي وحامتي لحمهم لحمي ودمهم دمي يؤلمني ما يؤلمهم ويحزنني ما يحزنهم. أنا حرب لمن حاربهم والسلم لمن سالمهم وعدو لمن عاداهم ومحب لمن أحبهم. إنهم مني وأنا منهم. فاجعل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك وغفرانك ورضوانك علي وعليهم وأذهب عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. فقال الله عز وجل يا ملائكتي ويا سكان السماوات إني ما خلقت السماء مبنية ولا أرضا مضحية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضية ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا في محبة هؤلاء الخمسة الذين هم تحت الكساء. فقال الأمين جبرائيل يا ربي ومن تحت الكساء؟ فقال عز وجل هم أهل بيت النبوة ومعدن الرسالة هم فاطمة وأبوها وبعلها وبنوها. فقال جبرائيل يا ربي أتأذن لي أن أهبط إلى الأرض ليكون معهم سادسا؟ فقال الله نعم قد أذنت لك. فهبط الأمين جبرائيل وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله العلي الأعلى يقرئك السلام ويخصك بالتحية والإكرام ويقول لك وعزتي وجلالي إني ما خلقت السماء مبنية ولا أرضا مضحية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضيئة ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحرا يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا لأجلكم ومحبتكم وقد أذن لي أن أدخل معكم فلتأذنوا لي يا رسول الله. فقال رسول الله: وعليك السلام يا أمين وحي الله، إنه نعم قد أذنت لك. فدخل جبرائيل معنا تحت الكساء فقال لأبي: إن الله قد أوحى إليكم يقول: إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. فقال علي عليه السلام لأبي: يا رسول الله، أخبرني ما لجلوسنا هذا تحت الكساء من الفضل عند الله. فقال النبي: والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واستفاني بالرسالة نجيا، ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفي جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا إلا ونزلت عليهم الرحمة وحفت بهم الملائكة واستغفرت لهم إلى أن يتفرقوا. فقال علي عليه السلام: إذا والله فزنا وفاز شيعتنا ورب الكعبة. فقال النبي ثانيا: يا علي، والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واستفاني بالرسالة نجيا، ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفي جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا وفيهم محموم إلا وفرج الله همه ولا مغموم إلا وكشف الله غمه ولا طالب حاجة إلا وقضى الله حاجته. فقال علي عليه السلام: إذا والله فزنا وسعدنا وكذلك شيعتنا فازوا وسعدوا في الدنيا والآخرة ورب الكعبة. رحم الله من قرأ سورة المباركة الفاتحة.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم إني أسألك برحمتك التي وسعت كل شيء وبقوتك التي قهرت بها كل شيء وخذل كل شيء وذللها كل شيء وبجبروتك التي غلبت بها كل شيء وبعزتك التي لا يقوم لها شيء وبعظمتك التي ملأت كل شيء وبسلطانك الذي على كل شيء وبوجهك الباقي بعد فناء كل شيء وبأسمائك التي ملأت أركان كل شيء وبعلمك الذي أحاط بكل شيء وبنور وجهك الذي أضاء له كل شيء. يا نور يا قدوس يا أول الأولين ويا آخر الآخرين اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تهتك الإثم اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تنزل النكم اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تغير النعم اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تحبس الدعاء اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تقطع الرجاء اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تنزل البلاء اللهم اغفر لي كل ذنب أذنبته وكل خطيئة أخطأتها اللهم إني أتقرب إليك بذكرك واستشفع بك إلى نفسك وأسألك بجودك أن تغنيني من قربك وأن تظئني شكرك وأن تلهمني ذكرك اللهم إني أسألك سؤال خاضع متذلل خاشع أن تسامحني وترحمني وتجعلني بقسمك راضيا قانعا وفي جميع الأحوال متواضعا اللهم واسألك سؤال من اشتدت فاقته وأنزل بك عند الشدائد حاجته وعظم فيما عندك رغبته اللهم عظم سلطانك ولا مكانك وخفي مكرك وزهر أمرك وغلب قهرك وجرت قدرتك ولا يمكن الفرار من حكومتك اللهم لا أجد لذنوبي غافرا ولا لكبائر ساترا ولا لشيء من عملي قبيح بالحسن مبدلا غيرك لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك وبحمدك ظلمت نفسي وتجرأت بجهلي وسكنت إلى قديم ذكرك لي ومنك علي اللهم مولاي كم من قبيح سترت وكم من فاضح من البلاء أكلت وكم من إثار وقيته وكم من مكروه دفعت وكم من ثناء جميل لست أهلا له نشرت اللهم أعظم بلائي وأفرط بي سوء حالي وكثرت بي أعمالي وقعدت بي أغلالي وحبسني عن نفعي بعد عملي وخدعتني للدنيا بغرورها ونفسي بجنايتها ومثالي يا سيدي فاسألك بعزتك أن لا يحجب عنك دعائي سوء عملي وفعالي ولا تفزعني بخفي ما اطلعت عليه من سري ولا تعاجلني بالعقوبة على ما عملته في خلواتي من سوء فعلي وإساءتي ودوام تفريطي وجهالتي وكثرة شهواتي وغفلتي وكن اللهم بعزتك لي في كل الأحوال رؤوفا وعلي في جميع الأمور أتوفا إلهي وربي من لغيرك أسأله كشف ضري والنظر في أمري إلهي ومولاي أجريت علي حكما تبعت فيه هوى نفسي ولم أحترس فيه من تزيين عدوي فغرني بما أهوى وأسأله على ذلك القضاء فتجاوزت بما جرى علي من ذلك بعض حدودك وخالفت بعض أوامرك فلك الحمد علي في جميع ذلك ولا حجة لي فيما جرى علي فيه قضاؤك والزمني حكمك وبلاؤك وقد أتيتك يا إلهي بعد تقصيري وإسرافي على نفسي معتذرا نادما منكسرا مستقيلا مستغفرا منيبا مقرا مذعنا معترفا لا أجد مفرا مما كان مني ولا مفزا أتوجه إليه في أمري غير قبولك عذري وإدخالك إياي في ساعة رحمتك اللهم فاقبل عذري وارحم شدة ذري وفكني من شدي وساكي يا ربي ارحم ضعف بدني وركة جلدي ودكة أزمي يا من بدا خلقي وذكري وتربيتي وبري وتزكيتي أبني لابتداء كرمك وصالف برك بي يا إلهي وسيدي وربي أتراك معذبي بنارك بعد توحيدك وبعد ما انطوى عليه قلبي من معرفتك ولهجا به لساني من ذكرك واعتقده ضميري من حبك وبعد صدق اعترافي ودعائي خاضعا لربوبيتك هيهات أنت أكرم من أن تضيء من ربيت أو تبعد من أدنيت أو تشرد من آويت أو تسلم إلى البلاء من كفيته ورحمت وليت شعري يا سيدي وإلهي ومولاي أتسلط النار على وجوه كرت لعظمتك ساجدة وعلى ألسن نطقت بتوحيدك صادقة وبشكرك مادحة ولا قلوب اضطرفت بلاهيتك محققة ولا ضمائر حوت من العلم بك حتى صارت خاشعة ولا جوارح ساءت إلى أوطان تعبدك طائعة وأشارت باستغفارك مذعنة ما هكذا الظن بك ولا أخبرنا بفضلك عنك يا كريم يا ربي وأنت تعلم ضعفي عن قليل من بلاء الدنيا وعقوباتها وما يجري فيها من المكاره على أهلها ألا أن ذلك بلاء مكروه قليل مقصور يصير بقاء كثير مدته فكيف احتمال لبلاء الآخرة وجليل وقوع مكاره فيها وهو بلاء تطول مدته ويدوم مقامه ولا يخفف عن أهله لأنه لا يكون إلا عن غضبك وانتقامك وسخطك وهذا ما لا تقوم له السماوات والأرض يا سيدي فكيف لي وأنا عبدك الضعيف الذليل الحقير المسكين المستكين يا إلهي وربي وسيدي ومولاي لأي الأمور إليك أشكو ولما منها أزيج وأبكي لأليم العذاب وشدتي أم لطول البلاء ومدتي فالعن سيرتني للعقوبات مع أعدائك وجمعت بيني وبين أهل بلائك وفرقت بيني وبين أحبائك وأوليائك فهبني يا إلهي وسيدي ومولاي وربي صبرت على عذابك فكيف أصبر على فراقك وهبني يا إلهي صبرت على حر نارك فكيف أصبر عن النظر إلى كرامتك أم كيف أسكن في النار ورجائي عفوك فبعزتك يا سيدي ومولاي أقسم صادقا لئن تركتني ناتك لأزيجن إليك بين أهلها ضجيج الآملين ولا أصرخن إليك صراخ المستصرخين ولا أبكين عليك بكاء الفاقدين ولا أنادينك أين كنت يا ولي المؤمنين يا غاية آمال العارفين يا غياث المستغيثين يا حبيب قلوب الصادقين ويا إله العالمين أفتراك سبحانك يا إلهي وبحمدك تسمع فيها صوت عبد مسلم سجن فيها بمخالفتي وذاق طعم عذابها بمعصيتي وحبس بين أطباقها بجرمه وجريرته وهو يزيج إليك زجيج مؤمل لرحمتك ويناديك بلسان أهل توحيدك ويتوصل إليك بربوبيتك يا مولاي فكيف يبقى في العذاب وهو يرجو ما سلف من علمك أم كيف تؤلمه النار ويعمل فضلك ورحمتك أم كيف يحرقه لهيبها وأنت تسمع صوتا وترى مكانه أم كيف يشتمل عليه زفيرها وأنت تعلم زافا أم كيف يتقلقل بين أطباقها وأنت تعلم صدقا أم كيف تزجره زبانيتها وهو يناديك يا رب أم كيف يرجو فضلك في إتكه منها فتتركه فيها هيهات ما ذلك الظن بك ولا المعروف من فضلك ولا مشبه لما عملت به الموحدين من برك وإحسانك فباليقين أقطع لولا ما حكمت به من تعذيب جاهدك وقضيت به من إقلاد مؤاندك لجعلت النار كلها بردا وسلاما وما كانت لأحد فيها مكرا ولا مقرما لكنك تقدست أسماءك أقسمت أن تملأ من الكافرين من الجنة والناس أجمعين وأن تخلد فيها المعاندين وأنت جل ثناؤك قلت مبتدئا وتطولت بالإنعام متكرما أفمن كان مؤمنا كمن كان فاسقا لا يستوون إلهي وسيدي فاسألك بالقدرة التي قدرتها وبالقضية التي حتمتها وحكمتها وغلبت من عليه أجريتها أن تقبلي في هذه الليلة وفي هذه الساعة كل جرم أجرمته وكل ذنب أذنبته وكل قبيح أسررته وكل جهل عملته كتمته وأعلنته أخفيته أو أظهرته وكل سيئة أمرت بإثباتها الكرام الكاتبين الذين وكلتهم بحفظ ما يكون مني وجعلتهم شهودا علي مع جوارحي وكنت أنت الرقيب علي من ورائهم والشاهد لما خفي عنهم وبرحمتك أخفيته وبفضلك سترته وأن توفر حظي من كل خير أنزلته أو إحسان فضلته أو بر نشرته أو رزق بسطته أو ذنب تغفره أو خطأ تستره يا ربي يا ربي يا رب يا إلهي وسيدي ومولاي ومالك ركي يا من بيده ناصيتي یا علیما بضری و مسکنتی یا خبیرا بفقری و فاقتی یا ربی یا ربی یا رب اسألک بحقک و قدسک و اعظم صفاتک و اسمائک ان تجعل اوقاتی فی اللیل والنہار بذکرک معمورا وبخدمتك موصولا وأعمالي عندك مقبولا حتى تكون أعمالي وأورادي كلها وردا واحدا وحالي في خدمتك سرمدا يا سيدي يا من عليه مولي يا من إليه شكوت أهوالي يا ربي يا ربي يا رب قوّ على خدمتك جوارحي واشدد على العزيمة جوانحي وهب لي الجد في خشيتك والدوام في الاتصال بخدمتك حتى أسرع إليك في ميادين السابقين وأسرع إليك في المبادرين واشتاق إلى قربك في المشتاقين وأدنو منك دنو المخلصين وخافك مخافة المؤمنين واجتمع في جوارك مع المؤمنين اللهم ومن أرادني بسوء فارد ومن قادني فقد واجعلني من أحسن عبيدك نصيبا عندك وأقربهم منزلة منك وخصهم زلفة لديك فإنه لا ينال ذلك إلا بفضلك وجد لي بجودك وأعطف علي بمجدك واحفظني برحمتك واجعل لساني بذكرك لهجا وقلبي بحبك متيما ومن علي بحسن إجابتك وكلني أسرتي واغفر زلتي فإنك قضيت على عبادك بعبادتك وأمرتهم بدعائك وضمنت لهم الإجابة فإليك يا ربي نسبت وجهي وإليك يا ربي مددت يدي فبعزتك استجب لي دعائي وبلغني منايا ولا تقطع من فضلك رجائي واكفني شر الجن والإنس من آبائي يا سريع الرضا اغفر لمن لا يملك إلا الدعاء فإنك فعال لما تشاء يا من اسمه دواء وذكره شفاء وتاته غنى ارحم من راس ماله الرجاء وسلاح البكاء يا سابق النعم يا دافع النقام يا نور المستحوشين في الظلم يا عالما لا يعلم صل على محمد وآل محمد وافعل بي ما أنت أهله وصلى الله على رسوله والأئمة الميامين من آله وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا اللهم صل على إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد وآله
محمد وآل محمد صلوات
الہی میں تجھ سے دعا مانگتا ہوں کرم مانگتا ہوں، دعا مانگتا ہوں، الہی میں تجھ سے دعا مانگتا ہوں، کرم مانگتا ہوں، مانگتا ہوں، عطا کر تو شان کریمی کا صدقہ، دلا دے الہی رحیمی کا صدقہ، نہ مانگوں گا تجھ سے تو مانگوں گا کس سے، تیرا ہوں میں تجھ سے دعا مانگتا ہوں، الہی میں تجھ سے دعا مانگتا ہوں، کرم مانگتا ہوں، دعا مانگتا ہوں، الہی تجھے واسطہ پنجتن کا، ہو شاداب گنچا دلوں کے چمن کا، یہ دامن ہمارا مرادوں سے بھر دو، کرم کی نظر سے دعا مانگتا ہوں، الہی میں تجھ سے دعا مانگتا ہوں، کرم مانگتا ہوں، دعا مانگتا ہوں، جو مفلس ہے ان کو تو دولت عطا کر، جو بیمار ہے ان کو صحت عطا کر، غریبوں پہ تو رحم کر یا الہی، مریضوں کی خاطر شفا مانگتا ہوں، الہی میں تجھ سے دعا مانگتا ہوں، کرم مانگتا ہوں، دعا مانگتا ہوں، ہوا ہے نہ مایوس تیرے سوالی، نہیں تیرے در سے فرا کوئی خالی، یہی التجائے کہ میرے ہی خاطر میں سب کے لیے دعا مانگتا ہوں، الہی میں تجھ سے دعا مانگتا ہوں، کرم مانگتا ہوں، دعا مانگتا ہوں، بحق کے پیمبر و بحق کے علی، بحق کے بطول اور شبر و شبیر، قسم 14 معصوم کی ہے الہی، میں تجھ سے دلی دعا مانگتا ہوں، الہی میں تجھ سے دعا مانگتا ہوں، کرم مانگتا ہوں، دعا مانگتا ہوں،
محمد وآل محمد صلوات.
بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم. Sayyid Hasan, Rizvi, respected elders, dearest brothers and sisters in Iman, Assalamu alaikum, Jamia wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. For the love of Sayyidah Fatema al-Zahra, alayha salam, sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Surah Fatiha is requested for all Marhumeen listed on the screen, as well as all other Marhumeen. Surah Al-Mubarak al-Fatiha. Dua Shfa'i Maris is requested for all those in need here and elsewhere, as well as those listed on the screen. Let us recite together. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء 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 أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. Ya Allah. Let us now invite Sayyid Hasan Rizvi to please come forward for tonight's Majalis. By Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat.
اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. والحمد لله رب العالمين. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين. ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الأولين والآخرين إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد. صلوات على محمد وآل محمد. Mu'mineen, mu'minat, brothers and sisters in Islam and Iman, Salamun alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Normally, as you all know, on Thursdays we go through questions that are on Slido first, but because there are 4 of them total, and because of the Wiladat tonight, we'll skip these until next week, inshallah. So, of course, as you all know, tonight, on the 20th of Jamadi-ul-Aakher, we are celebrating the birth anniversary, the Wiladat of Sayyidatul Nisa al-Alameen, Fatema al-Zahra, alayha salatu was-salam. You know, in this day and age, we call the Ahlul Bayt role models. And some other people might say, look, there are a lot of other role models that are outside of the sort of religious realm. Right? There are other people who have lived interesting lives, and you can take examples from them, right? Learn and try to copy some of the characteristics and virtues that they have. But one of the main differences, there's obviously huge differences, but one of them is simply this, that if you look at these non-religious sort of role models that people follow, they can only really look at their adult lives. Right? So usually somebody does something well in school or before they go to school, meaning college. There is something, they have a lot of willpower, or they strive a lot, or they're hardworking, and it's something when they're older that they write an autobiography about, or somebody else comments on it. So it's somebody, when they reach that age, then yeah, you might be able to learn something like that. But when those individuals are younger, let's say you have these young geniuses, there's not really much you can learn from them necessarily, right? Because usually it's something they're born with, something genetic. We don't really get much information like that. The Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam are a bit different. Yes, obviously in their adult lives, there are plenty of examples that we take, right? They're role models like that. even right before they die and become shaheed. There's examples in their lives too. But the Ahlul Bayt and the Anbiya, these religious figures that we revere, that we praise and honor, one of the great characteristics of them is that even in their birth, even in their wilada, there are lessons and points of reflection that you and I can take. And that's why for tonight I wanted to look at just one aspect of the story of the birth of Fatima Zahra alayha salam and see if we can reflect on it and get some points for our life for today, inshallah. If you can recite a salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So I'll just quickly remind us about some of the events leading up to the birth of Sayyid Zahra alayha salam. So most of us know, right, this happened early on. Right? There's a slight dispute about the years, about what year exactly it happened. Leave that aside for now. I'm not interested in the historical debate. What is pretty much known amongst all Muslims is that when Bibi Khadija alayha salam was pregnant with Sayyidah Fatema alayha salam, this was obviously a time early on during the Islamic mission. Given that, obviously, they were, surrounded by enemies and opponents. When Bibi Khadija was getting ready to go into labor, like anybody else of that time, any other woman, they would go to the women who were known as the midwives, and they would assist in the delivery. So this is the same thing that Bibi Khadija had done. Right? When she was in those sort of final moments, ready to deliver, she went out looking for the Qurayshi midwives, right, to seek assistance in the delivery. Now, whereas everybody else, the midwives would have come to their assistance, these midwives denied Bibi Khadija. They said, "We're not going to help you." And when they're asked, why not? Why won't you help deliver a child? He said, "It's because of your connection to Muhammad. You married him, so we can't help you out." So the animosity towards Rasulullah, towards Bibi Khadija, towards what was happening was so much, they said, we'll let complications possibly arise. We'll let a child die because of how much hate and spite that we have for you. This is how bad it had gotten them. Now, Bibi Khadija herself narrates this, right? It's in multiple books, both Sunni and Shia, the same story exists. That when this happened, now, she's basically all alone now, right? In her house. And she narrates herself that this is when these 4 beautiful women had appeared to her. They entered and they appeared. They said that these 4 women were surrounded by Jamal and Noor, which was completely indescribable. This beauty and light that Bibi Khadija says, I couldn't describe it. I've never seen anything like this. And then one by one, they began introducing themselves. The first says that, I am your mother, Hawa, alayhi salam. The second says, I am Asiya bint Muzahim. The third is Kulthum, the sister of Musa alayhi salam. And the final one is Maryam, right? Bint Imran, the mother of Nabi Isa. So all of them introduced themselves, and the last, who I believe was Bibi Maryam, she says, and we are here to assist you in your affair. Now, many of you have probably heard this story before, right? Again, I said, this is not something disputed. Both Sunnis and Shias report this in many of their books. This is a well-known story. And of course, we obviously bring this up to show the status and the maqam of Bibi Fatima. Who else has a story like this? If we didn't have enough others, like even in her birth, right? Who else has a story like this? And normally, when we as Shias, when we talk about this story, normally we, speak about it in terms of its fada'il, right? Who else has a wilada like this? Who else is surrounded by the 4, right? Before Bibi Fatima, these are the 4 greatest women that exist. And they come to aid in the birth of the then, which would be the greatest woman ever to have been created. This is an amazing story. It's faza'il, it's fadilat, right? What underpins this story, though, is something a bit more, I'll say, tragic. Or, again, the point of it is to grab a lesson for you and I. Right? Over here, we see this sort of divine assistance, this divine help. Allah is sending these 4 great women to help out in the birth of Bibi Fatima. This is wonderful, this is great. But if you think about this miraculous birth, this divine intervention, right? That's the term we would use here. How else would this have happened? This is divine intervention. Allah stepping in. He's sending down these women to help in the birth. But, this is great. Sounds nice on paper, but is this actually something desirable? Yeah, we get to talk, praise how wonderful this is right now. Is this actually a desirable thing? Would we actually want divine intervention to take place in, a situation like this? Think about it in another situation. Think about for somebody like Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wassalam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Many of you are aware, right? According to some, they say that on the battlefield, right, on Ashura, there was apparently angels or armies of jinn, right? There's multiple stories about this. They say that they were sent down, or they themselves came and offered assistance to Imam Hussein. Now again, many who mention this story, who believe and mention this story, they use it as a fadilat, right? Like, look, this is how great it was. The angels, the jinn, they wanted to come and help. Like, okay. But we are a bit more realistic about that, because we know that obviously Karbala is a tragedy. So in the back of our mind, although we see this semi sort of possible divine intervention taking place in Karbala on Ashura, what we're really looking at is, hey, where will the Muslims? Why do jinn and angels have to show up in a battle that Muslims should have been fighting alongside their Imam? Why do they have to be sent down? So if we really reflect upon this, and many other instances like this, divine intervention takes place when human beings are not intervening. Divine intervention, the hand of God is stepping in when humans haven't extended their hand. Over here, you're seeing that if Bibi Khadija was able to get assistance from the Qurayshi midwives, then this whole episode wouldn't have taken place. Right? If they had just done, these midwives, if they had swallowed their ego and swallowed their pride and just helped this, child been delivered, help this lady out, then this whole episode, this thing wouldn't have taken place. You wouldn't have anything to talk about here, but that's the point. The only reason we're talking about it as a historical event is because they didn't do their job. They didn't do their wazifa. They didn't do their responsibility as midwives. So it makes us, again, reflect on this point that one of the greatest ways that we can avoid divine intervention, again, thinking about it as an undesirable thing, is when we step up and we do our duty. Look at this very famous hadith from Amir al-Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam. He's reported to have said, "Ni'mal aun al-mudahara." The best type of help you can give is mudahara. Now, mudahara, you can talk about just being assistance in general. Others would look at it in a bit of a deeper way, because mudahara can also mean something that, when you go in a political sense, it means to go out and demonstrate, for example. So some, when they comment on this, they say, what perhaps Imam Ali alayhi salam is getting out here is that, look, there's a lot of different ways that you and I can offer assistance, right? The modern way to do it, when we think about all these tragedies that take places in countries around the world, when we think about the constant oppression happening to the Palestinians, for example, or the people of Yemen, etc., then people end up doing thoughts and prayers. All right, my thoughts are with you, du'as, etc., which are good. It's nice, but I'm sure it helps the people to some degree over there getting that moral support. But I'm sure they say, we would much rather have physical support, right? Think about the last time you asked for help. I think we gave this example a long time ago. Right? Let's say you need help, just moving something in your house, moving some furniture, or you're moving to another house. You're like, I need help loading the truck, getting it somewhere else, the U-Haul, unloading it, etc. Somebody said, yeah, no problem, I'll send you my thoughts and prayers. Like, what kind of help is that? No, I need your muscle. Come here, pick up the stuff, help me. That's what I need. I need your physical strength. I don't need your thoughts and prayers like that. I mean, yeah, it's good, but I want you to show it too. So a lot of times we think we're doing something grand just by thinking about somebody, making du'as. That's nice, but it's a very easy thing to do. Be honest. It's easy to make a du'a quickly for somebody. Keep me in your du'as. Okay, Allah, give him whatever he wants. Give her whatever he wants. It's a 2-second job. And that was like a half-sincere thing. Yeah, okay, if you're a bit more sincere, then maybe you put a bit more effort into it. Maybe you remember somebody in your namaz al-shab or something. Okay, fine. But physically, taking time out of your day or out of your weekend, getting up, leaving the comfort of your home, and going to physically support somebody, well, that's actually assistance then. That's actually doing something. When you take something out of your pocket and are physically supporting a good cause or a good project or somebody in need, that's very, very difficult to do. Compared to somebody saying, I'll pray that you get your rizq that's coming to you. So to actually show it, to do this mudahara, not just to say, yeah, you're in my heart, you're in my mind, you're in my soul, I'm thinking about you. I pray that it gets better. No, just do mudahara. I'm going to make it zahir for you that I'm there to support you. I'm going to come out and show that I'm supporting you. So perhaps this is what Imam Ali is alluding to over here. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Another aspect of this is, another interesting point that some commentators have mentioned is, look, obviously, Bibi Khadija understood the environment she was living in. She knew the reputation that she had, and she knew the reputation that Rasulullah had. It was very clear. If you were in the same situation, where let's say you knew that something had happened, and everybody in the community just hated you, would you go out and ask for their help? Probably not. Because you're like, yeah, this person's not going to help me. They're not going to do anything for me because of whatever I did to them, etc. Why did Bibi Khadija then go out and ask these midwives, knowing how they feel about Islam and Rasulullah and her? Why would she do that? Some commented and say perhaps it's because she was expressing this idea of having, this husnul dhan towards others. Having this positive expectation even about her enemies or people who have this hate in her heart for her. And we've talked about this previously as well, right? That one of the things that really shows when a community is united and cohesive is when individuals are spreading those sort of, as we call them nowadays, right? Positive energy or positive vibes, whatever. Very simply put, it's that everybody has these positive expectations of one another. Rather than saying, yeah, this person's a cheat or that person's a liar, etc. Like, no, this person, no, you go, they're going to help you out. They'll give you a discount. They'll do this, they'll do that. So people are working together and spreading this positive information constantly. So much so that everybody just has this husn dhan and benefit of the doubt in their mind. That even from somebody that they might have wronged, they're like, I'm sure that person forgot about it by now. Or no, they can't be so petty and spiteful that they're going to deny me this favor. Or, why would they do something like that? So this perhaps is the whole idea that Bibi Khadija has in her mind too. That no, she has this positive expectation out of these individuals who were probably ready to kill her and her husband. Right? She had this expectation. So a point for us too is that if we're trying to get to a level that we're creating an environment of support and help, then one thing is to actually have that positive expectation for ourselves too and for our community. That instead of immediately letting shaitan think of the worst possible or jumping to negative thoughts right away, say no, there's a good chance. Why would somebody be so evil or so mean as to do X, Y, Z? Let me think positively and let me go and try and ask for help and see what happens. And if it's rejected or if you're denied for whatever reason, give some excuses. Okay, maybe they were busy, maybe they were tired, etc. Right? It's very easy for us to go to those negative, worst case scenarios. Right? It's very, very easy to do that. What's difficult is to imagine the best out of everybody. What's different is to rationalize in your mind and give excuses for people when they are not able to actually provide that support. So this is perhaps another perspective we can look at. And there's one more that I wanted to share tonight. If you can recite a salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. I shared from one perspective, which is us having, let's say, a positive expectation of others, that they might help us out. There's another side of it. The other side of the equation is us in offering help to one another. Right? If somebody comes, and let's say they are a zalim or a fasiq, and they literally, you would put the word, zalim, fasiq, or, they'd say that they're an enemy to you. They're an oppressive person. Would you go and help them? In small, minor tasks, in larger tasks, and when they're really in their time of need, would you go and help them? No, honestly, think to yourself. Okay, let's not go that extreme. Let's not say that they're a zalim or a fasiq or an enemy of Islam or anything like that. Let's just say that they are from a different school of thought in Islam. Let's say like maybe a Wahhabi or a Salafi comes. They've never done anything wrong to you, but it's very clear what their ideology is. But they've never harmed you in any way. And they ask for your assistance. Would you help them out? Okay, think about a step higher. Not somebody who's a Wahhabi or Salafi, but just somebody who's regular member of the Ahlul Sunnah. They ask for a certain level of help. Where, for let's say a Shia brother or sister, you would do it right away. But for them, maybe you're like, but they're a Sunni, maybe I think twice. Okay, let's go a step higher. No, it's a Shia brother or sister asking for assistance, but maybe they have a different ideology than you. Maybe the way they approach Shi'ism is different than you. You're conservative, traditional, and they're liberal, progressive, all that stuff. Or vice versa. You yourself are liberal, progressive, and this person's backwards, traditional, conservative. And they're asking for assistance. What would you do then? The whole point of this kind of mini thought experiment is what sort of lines are you drawing? Who deserves your help? Who deserves my help? Are we, the type that anybody who asks for help will come and do it? Well, it can't be that. Not every single person, right? There's clearly some sort of lines, but how exclusive are we supposed to be? You know, we had this famous teacher that used to come to our school in Qom. And I think they've released some translated clips by him, Ustad Abidini. May Allah give him a long life. So he would come every once in a while to our school and give these, durus akhlaq, right? These akhlaqi classes and points. And one of the subjects and series that he was going through with the students there was about ukhuwa, right? Brotherhood. And he would mention all these narrations which indicate that the fastest way to achieving tawheed is through ukhuwa, through brotherhood. So every week he would come and share, a few narrations and then expand upon it a little bit. Then after, the short dars akhlaq lesson, then we would sit down in a circle, have a short little, Q&A discussion with him. So one of these sessions, along this series, he had mentioned this point where, there were some of the riwayat, I don't remember them, but, I'm just off the top of my, head, whatever I do remember. There were some riwayat which talked about, one of the greatest things that a person can do is helping their fellow mu'min, brother or sister. And there were some details in the hadith I don't remember, but whatever, that was the gist of it, right? A fast way to get connected to Allah, qurbatan ilallah, to get that qurb, that closest to Allah, is through helping a mu'min, taking care of the hajat of a mu'min brother and sister. Like, okay, sounds great. So the dars akhlaq was finished, lesson was done. He came off the minbar, we all sat in a circle, and one of my friends had asked him, and the question that came to my mind and many others who were there, maybe comes to your mind too. He said, okay. He said, Ustad, you mentioned this hadith and it sounds great that, help and always extend your hand and take care of the hajat of a mu'min, brother or sister. Okay, but what is a mu'min? Like, what definition was the Imam talking about in this hadith? Because I don't want to go help the wrong person who's not a mu'min, right? If the Imam's saying help the mu'mineen, I need to know what those red lines are. What are the boundaries? What's the definition here? Otherwise, it's just some vague idea in my mind, right? I don't want to help somebody that the Imam's not addressing directly here, right? That will be just a Muslim instead of a mu'min, for example. So what do we do? And I'll never forget this. This is probably one of the greatest points that I've ever heard from any of these teachers of akhlaq. And he just smiled and he said, why are you being so restrictive to God's mercy? He said, why do you want to limit Allah's rahmah? We're like, what are you talking about? He said, do you notice how the Imam didn't himself make these sort of, in this hadith or in this specific narration, as he's mentioning to whoever he was mentioning to in that hadith, he didn't add any sort of conditions. Why are you stepping above the Imam and adding conditions to this hadith now? He said, in all these other narrations we talked about, there is no thing where, well, okay, if they're a mu'min and they pray, but they pray 5 times a day, then go help them out. Well, if there's somebody who gives sadaqah, then help them out. If there's somebody who did this for you, then help them out. He said, these things are not there. He said, perhaps the idea is that it's meant to be vague on purpose to test what sort of level of rahmah do you have in your heart. Are you going to have that same level of rahmah that Allah has? Where sabaqat rahmatuhu ghadaba, that His rahmah is this overarching dominant force which comes and encompasses everybody and every single thing in creation? Or are you going to start nitpicking and saying, no, this person gets my mercy, this person doesn't. This one gets my forgiveness, this one doesn't. He said, perhaps this is the point that the Ahlul Bayt are trying to get us to understand. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So, these individuals who refuse to help Bibi Khadija in this birth, look at the blessings that were taken away from them. They had the chance to be involved in the birth of the greatest woman in creation, and they lost it because of this spite and this hate that they had in their hearts. And yes, there was a divine intervention that took place, but why is that happening? Because people didn't step up to do what they should have. Many instances that might exist now. Think of any sort of thing, right? We know that there are individuals in many communities, just like this, who are not doing financially well, right? They're struggling. Now imagine on one hand, that individual or that family magically, $500,000 just appeared in their account. We say, wow, mu'jiza, this is amazing, divine intervention, how'd this happen? Right? That's crazy. Or they, ended up just finding a bag of money somewhere. Like, wow, mu'jiza, amazing. But in a sense, we should say it the other way. We should blame ourselves and say, why did it take this sort of random act of kindness, so to speak? Why did it have to take divine intervention to help a fellow mu'min or a Muslim brother or sister or anybody else that's struggling like this? Why did God himself have to come down and intervene when he has specifically provided you and I with the risk to take care of these individuals? So, yes, divine intervention and these mu'jizat and these kiramat and all these things, on one side, they are a fadila. There's something wonderful. On the other side, perhaps, they're also reflecting and showing that, hey, you humans, you didn't step up to what you're supposed to do. If you did this, if you did what you're supposed to, God is kind of saying, I wouldn't have had to come in directly and take care of this. If you would have had to, if you supported and defended the imams, this whole ghaiba issue may not have to have happened, right? We have some narrations that even said that if insan from the beginning were obedient individuals, if they had performed their duties, Nabi Adam would have been it, and that was it. There was no reason for anything else to happen afterwards. But because of people having free will, understanding what they should do, but then shirking their responsibility, being lazy, waiting for somebody else to take care of it, waiting for a mu'jiza, expecting some special dua to solve all problems. Like, look, everything that you and I need has been given to us directly. Imam Ali is saying the greatest help you can do is when you go and you show up, you go and do something about it. And everybody has some little way that they can do that. Yeah, there might be certain instances and exceptions where there's literally nothing you can do outside of dua. But for most of us, there is some physical support that we can do. There's some way you can get up and help somebody or help the project out. There's something you can do. And if you can't think of anything, then you have to ask yourself, am I really being honest with myself, or am I just playing mind games? Am I, just being dishonest and trying to make sure that I don't have to, spend from my own pocket, that I don't have to lift a finger? There's this one famous cartoon where this line is really interesting. They said that when you've done something right, then people won't think that you've done anything at all. And that's speaking about mu'jizat, right? The reason we're talking about the birth like this of Bibi Fatema, the reason we talk about Karbala, the reason we talk about all these miraculous great events is because something amazing had to happen. Something extraordinary had to happen. Something incredible, metaphysical had to take place. But if human beings were there and just did what they were supposed to do, and they just acted as extraordinary human beings, then this outside supernatural metaphysical intervention would have been unnecessary. If things were going as they should be, then everybody would just see, life is just moving as it should, right? There's a very smooth sort of process. And that's what we should be striving towards, right? Is building this community, building our jama'ah, building this and saying that, look, the hand of God is not some random divine intervention to come and change things, in a snap of a finger. But as the famous hadith says, Yadullah ma'al jama'ah. The hand of Allah is with the jama'ah. When we come together like this and we support one another financially, emotionally, spiritually, intellectually, etc., when we do that, then you start to see that this itself becomes its own mu'jiza. To have a functioning community that's ready and willing to support the imam of their time, that itself is a mu'jiza and a miracle. And if we want to, on this night, remember the great personality of Bibi Fatema, then that's what we remember, is that she's the one who didn't wait for a mu'jiza. She went door to door, reminding people about what happened on Ghadir. She didn't wait for somebody else to go and ask for the rights of fadak. She went herself and asked for these things. So when everybody else had failed in their responsibility, she stepped up and did that too. Imagine if you and I were in those times too. How could we live with ourselves seeing somebody like Bibi Fatema go out and do something like this? So we want to make sure, instead of asking and waiting and saying, somebody, come interfere and do something, say, no, I need to make sure that nobody else has to lift a finger. Let me be the one to go out and extend my hand and live that sort of Fatimi model itself. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Let's move on to our Slido quiz for tonight. If you can recite another Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Okay, salam alaikum to everybody. Who do we have? We have Anonymous, Tasbih Fatema, Sabi M, Service to His Creation. Abstain. Abstain from what? Okay, so we have Specialists, welcome back. Kushali. SS Qambar Hasan, Material Growl. Oh, there we go, now everybody's joining. P, Triple S, Abbas Suleiman, Jahil. Nice. Nade Haydari. Who else? What did I miss? F, S and Z, Oh, KQ is back. The Kenyan queen. The Qasim, Truth Seeker. MashaAllah, we have a lot of people tonight. Habibi, the Dala family. Koja. Okay. H&H, Mujahid, Imam, the Illuminated. Oh, very nice. Rais, Bibi Fatema. Okay. Okay, I think we're ready to get started. Good luck, everybody. What does Zahra mean? A flower, a beautiful sunrise, elevated or bright? What does Zahra with a Hamza at the end mean? Because Zahra with the ta marbuta at the end is a different word with a different meaning, if you remember. Oh, and I guess you don't remember. Zahra, which is actually the name of, or the title of Bibi Fatema, is bright or illuminated. Zahra with the ta marbuta means it's a type of flower. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I should have taken away the leaderboard. I don't usually do that. I forgot to eliminate that. You're anonymous, it's okay. Which of these is not a title of Sayyidah Fatema alayhi salam? Al-Hasan, Al-Hurra, Al-Barra, or Al-Umla? Which is not a title of Sayyidah Fatema alayhi salam? And the clue is that one of these words means currency. Oh, no. No. This is going to be a bad quiz today. Umla means currency. She is not known as the currency, trust me. Uh-oh. Oh, man. Okay, who is reported to have said, no one will be able to love Fatima alayhi salam like me? Allah, Rasulullah, Imam Ali, or Khadija? Alayhim salatu wassalam. Who said this? That no one will be able to love Fatima like me? Oh man, you guys are failing tonight, man. Oof. It was Bibi Khadija. Oh no. Come on, there's nothing that replaces a mother's love. Come on, you should know that. Oh boy. All right, let's see. Last one. What is the first element on the periodic table? Lithium, helium, oxygen, or hydrogen? I guarantee this one's going to be like 90 something, right? Stop congratulating yourselves for this, man. Oh my God, this is terrible. This is terrible. Hydrogen. Oh God. Congratulations, RF. Nobody got 4 out of 4. Okay, 3 out of 4. Oh, actually, no. So RF and F, these 1-letter, 2-letter names, both tied for first place. Sorry, I didn't highlight both of you. 36 seconds. Number 4 even has no name. Truth Seeker, also 3 out of 4. 48 seconds, 54 seconds. And Real Anonymous, 2 out of 4, 26 seconds. Oh, this is, I think, the worst. This is very, very pitiful. Bibi Fatema would not be pleased tonight. Inshallah, you guys will put in more effort. Okay, before we end for tonight, just wanted to make one short, quick announcement. So, I have some close friends of mine who are actually visiting, and in honor of the birth anniversary, the Wiladat of Bibi Fatema alayhi salam, they wanted to give a gift for the community. So I believe they've set up a table, I think it's outside if I'm not mistaken, and they're offering samples for any of you who are fans of halal beef jerky. So they have some samples outside, so I encourage you to go and give that a try, inshallah. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala Ahl Baytihi at-Tayyibin at-Tahirin.
أفضل السلام محمد وآل محمد Sayyid Hasan, respected elders, sisters and brothers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. On behalf of the Managing Committee and Board of Trustees, we would like to wish everyone a Khushali Mubarak. On this joyous occasion, we are pleased to record and announce the following engagement. Anwar Ali, son of Kiran Fatema and Mustafa Shivji of Orlando, Florida, to Ayman Zahra, daughter of Asma and Hussein Merchant of Toronto, Canada. Salawat. On behalf of the community and management committee, we wish them a bright future ahead. Afzalus salam Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad.
والصلوات. أفضل السلام محمد وآل محمد. ہے یہی سب سے بڑا تیرا قصیدہ زہرا. ہے یہی سب سے بڑا تیرا قصیدہ زہرا. ہے یہی سب سے بڑا تیرا قصیدہ زہرا. کہ باپ کہتا ہے تجھے ابیہا زہرا. باپ کہتا ہے تجھے ابیہا زہرا. اور تیرے بیٹوں کی فرشتوں نے غلامی کی ہے. تیرے بیٹوں کی فرشتوں نے غلامی کی ہے. تیرے سسرال میں اترا ہے ستارہ زہرا. جیو جیو یا علی جیو جیو. تیرے سسرال میں اترا ہے ستارہ زہرا. افضل السلام محمد وآل محمد. صاحبو، بی بی فاطمہ زہرا علیہ السلام کی شان میں پیش کرتا ہوں. امید ہے لفظ اٹھاؤ گے اور سب مل کے میرے ساتھ ساتھ پڑھو گے. بر محمد وآل محمد صلوات اللہ وسلم. ہر فرشتہ غلام زہرا کا، ہر فرشتہ غلام زہرا کا، ہر فرشتہ غلام زہرا کا، ہر فرشتہ سبحان اللہ کا، ہر فرشتہ غلام زہرا کا. سب کے ہونٹوں پہ نام زہرا کا، ہر فرشتہ غلام زہرا کا، ہر فرشتہ. ان کے بابا حبیب رب خود بھی، ان کے بابا حبیب رب خود بھی کرتے ہیں تیرام زہرا کا، کرتے ہیں تیرا زہرا کا ہر فرشتہ غلام زہرا کا ہر فرشتہ اور ولی کائنات ہے شوہر اور ولی کائنات ہے شوہر ہر پیسر ہے امام زہرا کا ہر فرشتہ غلام زہرا کا روشنی جس کی ہے دو عالم میں روشنی جس کی ہے دو عالم میں وہ ہے ماہ تمام زہرا کا ہر فرشتہ غلام زہرا کا افضل السلام محمد وآل محمد صاحبو چند اشعار مولا کائنات امیر المؤمنین علی بن ابی طالب کی شان میں بآواز بلند نعرے صلوات اللہ صلی اللہ پکارا نہیں جس نے مولا علی کو پکارا نہیں جس نے مولا علی کو پکارا سنت حسین بھائی سنت جس نے مولا علی پکارا نہیں جس نے مولا علی پکارا نہیں اس کا دنیا میں کوئی سہارا نہیں جس نے مولا علی کو پکارا جس کا مولا ہوں میں اس کے مولا علی جس کا مولا ہوں میں اس کے مولا علی جس کا مولا علی اس کا مولا ہوں میں جو علی کا نہیں وہ ہمارا نہیں جس نے مولا علی پکار کم میں ممبر بنا کر یہ بولے نبی کم میں ممبر بنا کر یہ بولے نبی بولے ممبر بنا کر یہ کم میں نبی یہ ممبر علی کا تمہارا نہیں یہ جیو تمہارا نہیں جس نے مولا علی کو پکارا اور جس میں شامل نہ ہو ذکر مولا علی ذکر مولا علی جس میں شامل نہ ہو وہ عبادت خدا کو گوارا نہیں جس نے مولا علی کو پکارا افضل السلام محمد وآل محمد لائب بیمار دشت بلا جو بیمار ہو چل پاوے شفا الہی برائے امام زمان ہمیں حول ماں شر سے دے تو اما کیا ماں کما शोर रहो बाले उठे कब्र से कहे कि हम याली है 5 व 9 मिल चार दातान अहमद वली ज़हरा व हसन शबीर सले ताइमाम ज़मान शबीर सले ताइमाम ज़मान एक एक पे सदा सलवात परो सलवात सलवात व सलाम या इमाम ज़मान फरमाओ ज़ुहूर या इमाम ज़मान मोहम्मद वाल मोहम्मद सलवात
बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम अस्सलामु अलैका या रसूल अल्लाह अस्सलामु अलैका या अमीरल मुमिनीन सय्यिदुल वसीन अस्सलामु अलैकी या फातिमतुज़ ज़हरा सय्यिदतु निसाइल आलमीन وقرة عين رسول رب العالمين السلام عليك يا أبا محمد الحسن بن علي المجتبى زيارة وارث السلام عليك يا وارث آدم صفوة الله السلام عليك يا وارث نوح النبي الله السلام عليك يا وارث إبراهيم خليل الله السلام عليك يا وارث موسى كليم الله السلام عليك يا وارث عيسى روح الله السلام عليك يا وارث محمد حبيب الله السلام عليك يا وارث أمير المؤمنين عليه السلام السلام عليك يا ابن محمد المصطفى السلام عليك يا ابن علي المرتضى السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء السلام عليك يا ابن خديجة الكبرى السلام عليك يا ثار الله وابن ثاره والوتر الموتور أشهد أنك قد أقمت الصلاة وآتيت الزكاة وأمرت بالمعروف ونهيت عن المنكر وأطعت الله ورسوله حتى أتاك اليقين فلعن الله أمة قتلتك ولعن الله أمة ظلمتك ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرضيت به يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله أشهد أنك كنت نورا في الأصلاب الشامخة والأرحام المطهرة لم تنجسك الجاهلية بأنجاسها ولم تلبسك من مدلهمات ثيابها وأشهد أنك من دعائم الدين وأركان المؤمنين وأشهد أنك الإمام البر التقي الرضي الزكي الهادي المهدي وأشهد أن الأئمة من ولدك كلمة التقوى وأعلام الهدى والعروة الوثقى والحجة على أهل الدنيا وأشهد الله وملائكته وأنبياءه ورسله أني بكم مؤمن وبإيابكم موقن بشرائع دين لساني وخواتيم عملي وقلبي لقلبكم سلم وأمري لأمركم متبع صلوات الله عليكم وعلى أرواحكم وعلى جسادكم وعلى أجسامكم وعلى شاهدكم وعلى غائبكم وعلى ظاهركم وعلى باطنكم. السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله، السلام عليك يا ابن نبي الله، السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا ابن الحسين الشهيد، السلام عليك أيها الشهيد، السلام عليك أيها المظلوم وابن المظلوم. لعن الله أمة قتلتك ولعن الله أمة ظلمتك ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرضيت به. السلام عليكم يا أولياء الله وأحباءه، السلام عليكم يا أصفياء الله وأوداءه، السلام عليكم يا أنصار دين الله، السلام عليكم يا أنصار رسول الله، السلام عليكم يا أنصار أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليكم يا أنصار فاطمة سيدة نساء العالمين، السلام عليكم يا أنصار أبي محمد الحسن بن علي الولي الناصح، السلام عليكم يا أنصار أبي عبد الله، بأبي أنتم وأمي طبتم وطابت الأرض التي فيها دفنتم وفزتم فوزا عظيما، فيا ليتني كنت معكم فأفوز معكم. زيادة بالفضل العباس. السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك أيها العبد الصالح المطيع لله ولرسوله، أشهد أنك قد جاهدت ونصحت وصبرت حتى أتاك اليقين. لعن الله الظالمين لكم من الأولين والآخرين والحقهم بدرك الجحيم. السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليك يا ابن أول القوم إسلاما وأقدمهم إيمانا وأقومهم بدين الله وأحوطهم على الإسلام. فأشهد لقد نصحت لله ولرسوله ولأخيك فنعم الأخ المواسي. فلعن الله أمة قتلتك ولعن الله أمة ظلمتك ولعن الله أمة استحلت منك المحارم وانتهكت حرمة الإسلام. فنعم الأخ الصابر المجاهد المحامي الناصر والأخ الدافع عن أخيه المجيب إلى طاعة ربه الراغب فيما زهد فيه غيره من الثواب الجزيل والثناء الجميل. والحق الله بدرجة آبائك في جنات النعيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا زين العابدين وقرة عين الناظرين. السلام عليك يا محمد بن علي الباقر. السلام عليك يا جعفر بن محمد الصادق. السلام عليك يا موسى بن جعفر الكاظم باب الحوائج. السلام عليك يا مولانا علي بن موسى الرضا. السلام عليك يا محمد التقي الجواد. السلام عليك يا علي الهادي عليه الناصح الأمين. السلام عليك يا حسن الزكي العسكري، صلى الله عليك يا ابن الزهراء يا صاحب الزمان، سيدي الأمان 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 من فتنة الزمان. السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن، السلام عليك يا إمامنا وإمام الإنس والجان. عجل الله لك ما وعدك من النصر وظهور الأمر ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة بن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. وصل يا رب على محمد وآله الطاهرين.